Hello and welcome. Today we're going to talk about the new Disney game that's coming out. That's a trading card game, very, very similar to Magic the Gathering. Well, we're going to look at these cards. There's 7 cards that were spoiled at D23 Expo, which is the Disney Expo stuff that's coming up soon. And this one's caught everyone's eye, and this is up on eBay. These cards were real, and they were leaked, and well, not even leaked, they were given out at the expo. And people are selling the set of 7 cards for thousands of dollars on eBay now. So this has caught quite a bit of attention. On top of that, the cards look very similar in the nature of the way Magic the Gathering is. So I figured this would be a good point to sit there and jump into this and take a good look at what we're seeing.
It's time to do.
Well, of course, we're going to look at some articles first, get into the cards, because the articles are what's really pointing towards that something might be awry here. This is from Dicebreaker. Yeah, they're okay sometimes. Disney new trading card game, Lorcanta, is basically Mickey the Gathering. That's one headline for you guys. This is another one here. People will feel our love for Disney in this game. Lorcanta, co-designer on the House of Mouse trading card game rival to Magic the Gathering and Pokemon. So yeah, they're making it as a rival to it, but at the same time, from IGN, Lorcanta, Disney Magic the Gathering card game contender, has TCG fans intrigued, and that's where I am today. Cards are already selling for hundreds of dollars, yes, which you guys saw at the beginning there. Now, why do I think that there's a little bit of toes being stepped on here? Well, you can see the Mickey Mouse right below me. Let's take a closer look at some of these cards. This is all 7 of them that were spoiled. It's very interesting to see them. The layout is very similar to the way Magic the Gathering is, except they don't really have the mana symbol border on the top of it. They each look like they have what looks like to me a power and a toughness on each card. Okay, we haven't seen a full set of rules for this yet. The rules won't be out until after Christmas from the sounds of it. Now, there looks to be a casting cost. We don't know how the casting cost is going to be associated with how they're going to be able to cast these cards. Some of these, like this is 1, 2, 3, 6, 8, and 9. Like these get up there pretty high. There's also this pip or diamond system they have on the side of these cards. They each have it across them. So you have a 1 here, 2 on the Robin Hood, a 3 on the Stitch, a 4 on the Mickey Mouse, and Maleficent, which I can never pronounce correctly, only a 2. So why is Disney going after Magic the Gathering at this point? They want a piece of that cheddar. They see it's a billion-dollar industry, so Disney is trying to cash in on that, of course. Now, you got Mickey Mouse with the scissors here because he's the brave little tailor. This is a Jack and the Beanstalk similar story. I can't remember the entire thing. There's so many stories with Disney. It's hard to keep track of which ones played what. So you got Mickey Mouse. He's a 5/5 Dreamborn hero. He has evasive. Only characters with evasive can challenge this character. Much the similar to like Shadow was or Fear, where you actually have to meet a certain criteria to be able to block. From the sounds of it, there's going to be an attack phase and a blocking phase, but it might be similar to the way Hearthstone is, where each one attacks directly to each of those instead of your opponent directly. Now, on that stated, they are calling the players Illuminaires, which is very similar to a Planeswalker where you are summoning the creatures, but in this case, you are summoning the Disney characters to aid you. That is what we're being told from some of these articles and from the idea of it. That is almost parallel to the way Magic the Gathering is. So there's a little bit here that I think might be catching the eye of Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast a little bit more than I think we will see. Mickey Mouse has a flavor text. When defeat looms and victory hangs by a thread, a hero bolts to the rescue, patching things up through sheer determination. Nicholas Cale did the artwork here. Really nice looking card overall. I like the design, but it's something we've seen before. Now, at the same time, we have a color in the background of the card in the middle here where it's red, and there's speculation that the color of the cards is the type of resource you will need to be able to summon this card. Very similar to being able to summon Magic the Gathering using the different colors of mana. So, I tell you, you got good old Robin Hood, Unrivaled Archer. He's a 4/4 Storyborn hero. He has Feed the Poor as an ability. When you play this character, if an opponent has more cards in their hand than you, draw a card. I think we've seen this several times in Magic the Gathering. And then he has Good Shot. During your turn, this character has Evasive. They can challenge characters with Evasive. So that's where I'm saying it's a little bit more like Hearthstone, where you can challenge each particular character. So that's where we're thinking it's going to go in that sense. And then we have good old Stitch. Stitch, although he's rocking out a little bit more here, he's not in his Elvis motif. He's a 3/5 Rockstar Stitch, Floodborn Hero Alien. So now we're getting in subcategories. He's got Shift 4. You may pay 4 star. I don't know what the star is going to mean, to play this on top of one of your Stitch characters. Oh, interesting. So this looks like you're going to drop them on each character, which is very, I think, Pokemon style, where you're always upgrading your Charmander or your Pikachu. You're upgrading them to the next level. So that's what this looks like, is you're going to have several different Stitches, and then you play them on each other. And then he has Adoring Fans. Whenever you play a character with cost 2 or less, you may exert it to draw a card. Exerting is a term for Magic the Gathering where you tap a creature down so they stay tapped for an extra round to do an extra thing, aka like draw a card. Now, if I remember correctly in the rules and the way Magic the Gathering works with their patent, a lot of these terms are patented to Magic the Gathering. Is there parallel there? Very much so. We'll have to wait to see where this one plays out. The best part about a beachside concert is that there's always room for one more. And then you have Elsa, Snow Queen. If you guys are a fan of Frozen, you got the 2/3 Dreambar Hero Queen Sorceress. And then she has Freeze, which has a tap symbol, and an exert chosen opposing character. Okay, tapping in another card game with a symbol similar to this is under Magic the Gathering. Oh, this is too close. This is starting to get a little too close to the sun. I hate to tell you, Disney, this is a little too close. Tapping is one of those symbols or one of those things in Magic the Gathering that was very unique to the game, and it was done very well back in the time. And when they made the patent for it and trademarked it all, it was one of these trademarks that had to be there. So the fact that you now have a tap symbol on Elsa here, yeah, it's slightly different, but it's going to be very similar yet different, very similar yet different. And then it's a tap, exert chosen character. So to me, the exert is it's getting tapped down for an extra round, which is direct from Amonkhet for Magic the Gathering. There's a lot of parallels here, and I can see why the articles are all saying this is Mickey the Gathering. Recreated by Magical Inc., Elsa found herself in an unfamiliar new world. Fortunately, ice works in the same way everywhere. And, oh, this one, of course, is purple, which it sounds like ice is going to be tied to purple in this sense. Maleficent is the actual name. There we go. I have so many problems trying to say this word. Every time I read it, I look at it and I go Maleficent, and it's I'm not even going to try anymore. So you get a 7/5 Storyborn Villain Dragon. Dragonfire. When you play this character, you may banish chosen opposing character. Banish is another word for exile in this sense. The 9th rule of villainy: when all else fails, turn into a dragon. Then you have good old Cruella de Vil as a 1/3, miserable as usual. The storyboard villain, you'll be sorry. When this character is challenged and banished, you may return chosen character to their player's hand. When she stops by, misery is company, 100%. And once again, Cruella, one of the greatest villains that were out there in the Disney landscape of 1001 Dalmatians. And of course, we're going to have a Peter Pan card because we've got good old Captain Hook. Forceful Duelist. He's a 1/2 Dreambar Villain Pirate Captain. Challenger +2. When challenging, this character gets +2 power, is what I'm guessing here. I'm guessing that's going to be his power or his strength rating, whatever that's going to be. So he becomes a 3/2. We've seen many, many similar things like this in Magic the Gathering. He loves to make light of a foe's predicament. God, I'm sorry. I'm horrible with English. Yeah, so once again, he's kind of a grade out there, and it's going to be the type of here. I just noticed there's a little symbol here as well, so it looks like there is like a casting symbol here as well. Stitch, yeah, Stitch has it. Robin Hood has it. So they each have their own symbol, and there's 5. There's 5 colors. I thought there was 6. No, there's 5 colors because this is the same as the Mickey Mouse. There's 5 colors in this.
That shows an Illumineer creating a glimmer of Mickey. That's what we're going to call our characters in Lorcana.
Disney, I think you might got a problem with your IP here. You might got to rework this. It looks good. It looks very similar to the way Magic the Gathering is. But I tell you, there's been a precedent already set with Magic the Gathering, and that is from Kryptonic Games, or Kryptonic Entertainment. They are also the makers of, what is this? Epic Spell Wars, Battle Wizards. This is probably one of my favorite games out there to play with a group of friends. It's a standalone game. You pick it up, you play it, and it works you're building spells. So you have 3 cards that you put down and it builds a spell, and it's like the fireball of villainous worms or something like that, and you throw it at your opponents. It's actually a really fun game. But the Kryptonic also makes the DC deck building game very similar to Legendary. Marvel and DC always rivalry, and where you have a standalone deck building game, it's the living card game is kind of what they call them. But at the same time, there was Wizards of the Coast settles a Hex lawsuit. Hex was a digital card game that Kryptonic put out there, and the similarities of it was enough for Wizards of the Coast to sit there and sue. They settled out of court, but then Hex got shut down. If you look back at their site, there's no listing of Hex anymore. Hex does not exist anymore. They went full into the Epic Spell Wars overall. So Hex disappeared. The suit, which accused Kryptonic of Hex of infringing Wizards of the Coast IP, was filed in May. The two sides have now reached an out-of-court settlement agreement and license through the terms, though the terms were not disclosed. This was back in 2015. Well, when it comes to Lorcana, I am pleasantly surprised at how it looks. It looks like it's going to be an easy game to pick up and play, a lot easier than some of the newer ones out there, so much. However, they really are driving the point home. This is like Mickey the Gathering. This is a Disney version of Magic the Gathering, and I think that might create a IP issue. Yes, Disney have their IP, and it's like putting their IP on Magic the Gathering cards. And we've seen this. We've seen people already take the artwork and actually insert them into a Magic the Gathering scene. So that in itself is just, you got to sit there and you got to wonder where Disney's thinking here. Now, it does look like the game does cross over with ideas from all of the major games. So Pokemon, Hearthstone, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Magic the Gathering. But it's looking like it's going to be mostly akin to Magic the Gathering. The banishment that they do there, that sounds like it's going to be your graveyard, where effects go to the graveyard. So we'll have to wait to see on this one. I want to see the rules. Hopefully they have a different way. We probably don't have the same way of gathering resources like we do in Magic the Gathering, where you've got to lay lands and do that. But it might be something more similar to Hearthstone. So it's tough to say. If they take enough from each little IP and make it one new IP, then I think they can get away with it. But if it parallels too close to the sun to one IP, there's going to be some trouble. And now it comes down to Hasbro is really in bed with Disney. They make a lot of Disney toys. They make a lot of Transformers. They make a lot of dolls. And would this risk that friendship or that corporate business entity if they went after Disney for an IP violation? This is very tough to say. I know with Hex, they were naming cards like a Lotus, where that in particular was a Magic the Gathering thing. So there was much more similarities where they were taking ideas from Magic the Gathering and pretty much reskinning and renaming them the same thing in the Hex game. So that's where things were really set in stone, why Wizards was able to really push that IP violation at the same time. There's been other people out there that have made their own Magic the Gathering sets and tried to sell them as boosters to go alongside of playing Magic the Gathering, and Wizards of the Coast has shut those down also in the past. So we'll have to wait to see. We'll see how the rules come out. Honestly, the way they look right now, you could almost slide them into a Magic the Gathering deck. If you had sleeves on it, you wouldn't even know really the difference. Although you do know the difference because there is a very high different level of artistic style of the two cards, but ultimately they're looking like they might almost play very similar, and because of that, things might go awry. Anyway, guys, I'm your proud Canadian Phoenix, Cindershadow, signing off here. Don't forget to like and subscribe, especially if you made it this far in the video. I will catch you all next time.